They were like, "Who does this?" And I was just like, "No, trust me,
That was
it's
going to
really
be my next
interesting.
question
This
to
is
you
why
is
this
like,
person
what
does
was
this
your
and
parents'
that." And,
reaction?
and I started literally analyzing their friends. That didn't fly by really well with them. Because again, like I'm still a kid, right? So my parents were like, "This is not cool." So, but I was like on point, like if I do say so myself, I was pretty good. Um, and then like, of course my
I
dad, we're
don't, don't
Pakistanis and he's like, you need to go into a career where it's gonna be profitable. You're gonna, make a name for yourself, whatever the case may be. So I kind of changed over to marketing for a little while. So then I became a business major. And as I was in marketing, I was like, this is all psychology, all psychology. It's all about learning how people work and like what they're attracted to and what they're into and what they're about, what they're looking
Mhm.
for, and what brings them in or, closes the deal, that sort of a thing. So I was like, forget that. I can do marketing any day of the week. Let me just go back to being a psych major. So I became a psych major. I graduated, with an undergraduate degree in psychology. And then, when I was looking to do my master's, I wanted to specialize into something. I could have gone into like clinical psychology and just like done psychology throughout. But then I was like, I don't know. I want to kind of take a different route because psychologists tend to do mostly, assessments and they work with kids or they just like they're very focused
Mhm.
on this particular population and on a particular wavelength, like they're not very, I guess, flexible.
Right.
So and then I kept looking around to see who offered a specialty in marriage and family
Hmm.
therapy, and there were very few schools in Connecticut where I'm from where they offered the program. So I took it because I was like, this is perfect. Like I love learning about people. I love like, I see how relationships work in my culture. Um, I have a very diverse like family in the sense that all of our
Yeah.
partners in our, family are from different backgrounds, like except my parents. My parents are both Punjabi, and then my brother married, someone who's Caucasian. She's white, American, pure Irish, British, like all those mixtures. Um, I married someone who's half Bangladeshi, half Guyanese. Um, so,
Yeah.
like in my extended family, I have a cousin-in-law who's from Afghanistan, and I have like, a brother-in-law who just entered into our family, a cousin-in-law who just entered into our family who's from Bosnia. So like we're very interracial relationships type people. Like we are not gonna stick to our Punjabi people, which is not a bad thing. Yeah. And
So your family could be a case study, is what you're saying. Excellent, excellent. So I'm going to just pause you for a second because it is 101 and we were slated to start at 1 o'clock for our 5 positive signs to look for in a match webinar. And I want to say salam to everyone that has joined us. Don't worry, we were just doing some pre-talking and finding out a little bit more about Maliha and her background. So you guys are totally on time, and I think with that, inshallah, I will just do some quick welcome and intro about BeyondChai and then hand it over to Maliha to start the webinar. So my name is Saman. I'm the marketing director for BeyondChai. And again, I want to thank you and welcome you to our second official webinar that we are hosting. Some of you may already know about BeyondChai, some of you may not, but BeyondChai is a Muslim matrimonial site. And what's really unique about us is that it's American and Canadian Muslims that have gone through the process. People like myself, like Maliha, the rest of our amazing team that are coming together to really help people match through our matchmaking services, help coach through our coaching services, and provide a holistic experience for American and Canadian Muslims when it comes to marriage. So we have a website with everything on there. I really hope that you'll explore that and see what parts work for you and take advantage of our future webinars, future events. We just recently, well, actually last week at ICNA, we hosted our first ever singles game night event. and alhamdulillah, it was an amazing turnout and success. And that's definitely one of our things that we're going to be doing, is having in-person events. So with that, I would like to now just jump over and tell you a little bit about my guest and also my colleague, Maliha Malik. As you may have heard, she is from Connecticut, and they did have snow yesterday. Um, but Maliha is a marriage and family therapist and a relationship coach with BeyondChai. As some of you may have heard, her passion started at a young age, and she really brings that energy, passion, expertise to BeyondChai when it comes to relationship coaching, helping clients to figure out maybe what some of the barriers are to really getting to meet their potential partner, or to sustain a relationship, or maybe some of the other work that they may need to do before entering into a relationship. She works in a private practice. She's worked with many populations, couples, singles, families, and we're really excited to learn from her the five positive signs to look for in a match. So without further ado, and I hope, Maliha, I did justice, I'm going to hand it over to you. And just one last thing is that you'll see a Q&A on the side of your screen. So you can type questions as she's talking. You can go ahead and type in questions. And when we get to the portion of the Q&A, she'll pull up those questions and answer them.
Everyone, and
so
thank you so much for joining
thank you so
us.
much. And Maliha,
I'm really
please,
excited
take it
about
away.
this. You know, I was talking to someone earlier, and we were like, she asked, like, you know, how did you come up with this? And I was like, this is something we talk about every single day. It tends to happen that way for some reason. So yeah, so I figured we'd talk a little bit about, you know, the 5 positive signs to look for in a match, because, you know, we're always looking for something when we're looking for a match, and we have a list of things that we want to get through when we're looking for a match. But I kind of narrowed it down to like the 5 things that would make a huge difference. And these 5 things cover a lot of other stuff that when you're looking for a match, you really think about. So yeah, so let's get into that. So, you know, let's start with the first thing. So, you know, when you look for a match, when you're looking for someone, you're immediately, the first thing you look for is like, oh, how good looking are they? Are they hot? Are they not? You know, like all of that. But one of the things I find that to be the most important thing to look for in a person is personality. I feel like when you know, that alone stands out for a lot of people in a way that is just, it's for me, it's like the first thing I look for when I look to meet someone new. I look to see how their personality is. What are they all about? One of the things I think about is like, you know, do I get along with this person? Is this person funny or shy? Are they secretive, mean, or boring? Because like, you really have to think about these things like when you're looking for a match, because this is someone that you're looking to spend a lot of your time with, if not the rest of your life with. So, you know, when you're looking for a personality, you really want to start looking at, how well do I get along with this person? Do we jive together? Do we like mix well together? If like the person is an introvert and you're an extrovert, are you really going to get along? If you're someone who likes to, you know, sit home on a Friday night and read a nice book by the fireplace and drink some hot cocoa, regardless of the weather, and the other person that you're into is someone who likes to go out to eat and try new places and just likes to be around more people and just a lot of noise, are you guys really going to get along? So you have to start thinking in a way that is different from, you know, yes, I really like this part about them, that they're so, you know, into culture and learning about new things. But am I really going to fit in with this person? Am I really going to be able to, you know, take part in their activities all the time or most of the time? And chances are that's probably not going to happen, because after a while, it's going to tire you out as an individual if you're the complete opposite of them. But the reason we look for those opposites in, you know, when we're looking for a match is because we're really looking to see, we kind of like want a part of them to be a part of us. And because of that, we try to look for that in our partners, in the people that we meet, in the relationships that we make. So you really want to like think about, how does the phrase opposites attract work in this sense. And the reason it works is because, again, we kind of like secretly want to be that person. We want to have a little bit of what they're, experiencing to be our experience. And, we do it through them by going out with them, by meeting new people. But eventually it's going to tire us out to the point where we're not, because that's not really who we are as an individual. So you really want to, when you're looking at someone's personality, you want to find someone who's just right for you. And that may mean that you're going to gain a little bit piece of them and they're going to gain a little bit piece of you. So, there will be some nights when they'll stay in with you and watch a movie at home, or, read a book quietly in your cozy corner, or, and then there'll be some nights where the two of you will go out and have fun and, try new cuisines and like try, experience new cultures and whatnot. And it's just balance and finding that with your partner. So when you meet someone, in the back of your mind, start thinking about like, how does their personality work with my personality? How do how do we connect with one another? And, how can I connect with this person if this person is so outgoing? Or how can I connect with this person if this person is not as outgoing as I am? And questions like that, start asking yourself those questions, because that's really going to make a huge difference in how you relate to them and how you connect with them. And finding that balance can be really hard when looking for a match, because I think a lot of the time, especially nowadays, we're in such a hurry to get things done, and we're looking to find people right away. We have timelines and deadlines, like as if we're doing a project at work. But when it comes to finding your match, there is really no deadline. There is no really timeline. It's going to happen when it's going to happen, right? I kind of gave away like the moral or the ending of my talk, but really it's just about enjoying the process and really getting to know them and getting to know yourself, and also getting to know their personality and how it works with you and how your personality works with them, because it's kind of like a balancing act at the end of the day. So that's really important when it comes to personality. Like, do I really get along with this person? Is this person really the right person for me? Can we really connect on a level that's different from our physical attraction or anything else? Do we like the same things? Do we talk about the same things? Do we, sit in the same circles? Because that also makes a huge difference. When you start, either getting to know someone who sits in completely different circles than you, social circles, that is, then, sometimes you feel out of place and you don't really feel like you belong. And that could be also really uncomfortable, because you also want to be, you want to feel comfortable in your own skin and comfortable with yourself, so that when you're in these social circles, even though you guys might be completely different or may have just the right amount of balance when it comes to your personality, you may be able to like bring something to those conversations, to that gathering, and learn something from those gatherings about yourself and about that person. So really think about it from that perspective when it comes to personality, and how do I connect with this person on that level? Because there's multiple levels that you'll connect with a person on when it comes to finding your match. Personality is just one of them. If you can't have good conversations, and if you can't talk about the same things or have similar interests, then how are you, where is this relationship going to go? How is it going to go further? And that kind of takes me into my next next topic, which is connection. I feel like connection is a big part of a relationship and finding your match. You want to ask this person, do I connect with this person based on our conversations, or where's our chemistry coming from? Is it physical chemistry? Is it, based on like connecting on a different level? Is it spiritual? Is it, where and how do we connect? Chemistry comes in different forms. It's not just physical. It's not just like, oh, I looked at this guy or this girl and they were beautiful or gorgeous, and like that's what got me connected to them. You can hear someone's voice and feel chemistry with them, because that is something that attracts you to them. That is something that really comes out for you for them. You can really think about, wow, like, just hearing them say certain things or talk a certain way can make a huge difference for you. And that's where the chemistry happens. And you guys could be in completely two different fields or in two different, lines of career. But what connected you and what connects you now? And these are, of course, things that you think about as you're meeting new people and as you're getting to know them. But you start thinking about it from very early, point rather than later into a relationship, because this is what's going to make that connection, that bond between the two of you. So you want to see if you're, intellectually attracted to this person. If you guys talk about the same things. Are you both Trekkies, or are you both, into Lord of the Rings, or, what kind of interests do you share that connects you? I noticed I have a friend who I've known since I was friends with her since I think like undergrad, and we're two completely different individuals. Even though we studied the same, academics, we went through the same courses, we, interest wise, you'd be like, how do you guys get along? But on a friendship level, her and we connect for multiple reasons. But she's into like Comic Cons and, you know, dressing up like her favorite characters and going to events and things like that. And I'm totally not into that. And I don't, see myself doing that. But would I give it a try? Sure, just for fun, just to see, because that's what our friendship is based on, is trying new things and having new experiences together. And that's the same thing that you do when you're looking for a match. You're looking to share experiences with one another. You're, looking to make connections with one another. You're trying to see where, what makes you come closer to one another. And it's not always their looks, and it's not always, the fact that they're from the same background as you, or whatever the case may be, or someone suggested that this person may be perfect. You make a connection based on what's important to you and what drives you. So, as a marriage and family therapist, we focus a lot on our drivers, which we call our, things that really force us towards other people and move us towards other people. And in relationships, when you're talking to people about that, you ask them, so what brought you to be with this person? How did you guys connect? When you meet with couples who've been married for years and years and years, and they come into your office and they're like, I'm not happy with my spouse anymore. You ask them, okay, so what made you happy in the beginning? You have to go back to those beginning days. And that's where we're starting. We're starting where, we're kind of like a blank slate, and we're looking to, form this beautiful relationship with someone. And so we want to, think about what brings us to them, what drives us towards them, what attracts us to them. And that's the connection that you're making with that person, because there are so many things that force us to, like, come close to another individual. And we want to find out what those connections are and why are they so important to us. So it's a lot of like self-evaluation. It's a lot of like thinking about, what makes you you. But that's like the best part of this journey in finding a match, is that you really get to know who you are as an individual, and you really find out a lot about yourself. So you give yourself that opportunity to really, figure out what is it that I want, or I like, or I appreciate, and why. And then when you start looking for those things in your match, you realize like, wow, like, okay, this is why. This is why I married this person. This is why I, became so close to this person. And then that brings me into my next, topic, which is relatedness. I think, as humans, we like to relate to people. We want to be able to connect with people on different levels. So when we look for relatedness, is we look for, can this person relate to me, my family, my friends? Can they be a part of my social circle, my life? Can I bring them in to who, I am, and really help them understand me? And this is important, like across the board, in many, many cultures. When people look for spouses, or when they look for matches, or when they look for someone, they look for how do they relate to them. Growing up in like a Pakistani Punjabi household, my parents like ingrained it in our minds that like when you guys get older, and I'm speaking for myself and my brothers, that when you guys get older, you're gonna marry someone who's Pakistani, who's Punjabi, who's from Lahore. They weren't open to like us marrying outside of our culture. And, us being brought up in the US, it was really different because we were now exposed to different cultures. We were now exposed to different people. So when we were looking for our spouses, we were all thinking, how does this person relate to my parents? Can he or she fit into my family? Can he or she be a part of our life? And same for me. Can I be a part of their life and her parents' life or his parents' life and so forth? So you really have to think about your values, your traditions, your norms, things that you hold near and dear to yourself. You really have to think about what are your core values that make you you. And based on that, you have to see if you connect with this person or if you relate to this person and if they relate to you on those, core values, because that's what's going to help them connect with your family and with your loved ones. Um, because regardless of how independent we are and in making our decisions and making our choices, our friends and our families influence the way we think a lot, and sometimes we don't even realize it, but it's really like those little tidbits, those little small seeds that get planted into us, as we're growing up and as we're becoming more mature and independent. We start thinking about these things and you almost ask yourself, like, where did this thought come to me from? It came to you from your environment, from the people that you spend your time with, the people who you hold near and dear to your heart, people who mean the world to you. And that's your family, that's your friends, those are your loved ones, those are your caregivers, your providers. So really like think about how can this person fit into my circle and how can I fit into theirs? Because the relationship is not just about you, it's about an us, right? You go from an I to a we to an us, like, it's all of us. And, no matter how hard we try to run away from that concept, it always comes at some point or another. It will always come back to you. So really think about that and really think about how does that person fit into your world and how you fit into theirs. So I'll go back to a little bit about, when I was looking for a spouse, I would tell my mom, like, why does it matter if he's Punjabi? Like, why does it matter if he's Pakistani? And my mom would always come back to the same thing. And she would always say, because he would understand us and he would understand you. And I was just like, okay, I get the us part because, we're a family, we're all together, we're all Punjabis. But what about how would he understand me? I'm me. I'm Maliha. I'm American. I'm an American Muslim. Yes, a part of me is Punjabi and I value my tradition a lot and my culture a lot. Love the food, man, the best thing. And but of course I have to add this in here. Also love the bhangra. So if anyone knows what that is, that's a big part of us. So yeah, so my mom would always say that that person needs to fit into us, into our family. He should be able to understand our background, what we're about. And, I married someone who's half Bangladeshi and half Guyanese. So completely different from being, Pakistani or Punjabi. Yes, Southeast Asian, part of him still there from Bangladesh. But, his culture is completely different from mine. Was he able to understand my culture and my family and their crazy traditions and things like that? Yeah. We worked on it. We talked about it. We understood. I understood his traditions. We talked about how important they are. He talked to me about how important the traditions are of my family to me. We discussed these things. And that's where the communication piece comes in, where you talk about things, where you understand one another. So, kind of going back to the first point, this is a process. This is not something that happens right away. This is not something that you can put, in your calendar and like mark it with an X saying that it has to happen by this day. This is really something that you have to kind of walk through and enjoy and take your time, because you're going to get to know people and really explore who they are as individuals. So relatedness really ends up falling as being a very important piece. Um, and then going on to tolerance. Tolerance is something that takes a long time. And tolerance comes with like a lot of patience. And that's point number 4. Um, tolerance is like you have to really think about, can I tolerate this person in our bad times? Because I can definitely tolerate them in our good times, right? Because in good times, everything's great, things are going well, things are smooth. As soon as there's like a little bump in the road, can I manage myself to still be with this person? Can I really continue connecting to this person? Can I really continue relating to this person? Can I really continue having like, enjoying them, enjoying their personality? Can I still continue to have that with them? Even throughout, our good times and bad times. And in the beginning, everything is great, right? Like the journey is fun. It's like no strings, no stress, no responsibility. You take it easy, you relax, you get to know people, you really get to explore them, they get to explore you, you get to explore new experiences together. So everything's good. Then, as you transition into the next phase of your relationship, things become a little stressful. Now you're meeting families. Now you're starting to, think about planning a wedding or engagement and things like that. And sometimes emotions run high and people tend to slightly change a little. Are you still able to accept that from them? Are you still able to accept them for who they are in that moment? Um, because that's not going to be the only moment that they'll have. There'll be plenty more moments along the way as you transition into the different phases of your relationship. So, really thinking far ahead and looking at the bigger picture, not just the one in front of you, because we really tend to focus on here and now, and we sometimes forget the next 10 years, the next 20 years, the next 40, 50, 60 years, and with each 10 years or 5 years or whatever number of years of relationship that you have comes a new phase, a new new struggles and new happiness and new memories. So think about, can this person really fit into all of those? So kind of like thinking the best case scenario and the worst case scenario, and really thinking like, do you see yourself working or being with this person in both cases? Um, so, so it's better to think about this stuff in the beginning rather than think about that in the past. Or, I mean, sorry, not in the past, but like much later when, you've tied the knot and you're already committed. You have to be like, can I stay in this for the long haul? Can I make sure that I'm gonna, stick it through the thick and the thin? If you look at vows when people are getting married, they vow something to each other. They make a promise to one another. And, one of the vows that you hear most often when you're going to an American wedding is like, till death do us apart, or in sickness and in health. Because think about it, when you're healthy and things are great, everyone's happy. You're just smooth sailing, like there's no bumps, nothing. But as soon as someone becomes sick, what are some things that happen? There's stress. There's more responsibility on one individual over the other. There's more focus on, how can I better help this person? Or what do I need to do? What's my role? How do I manage all of this without this person? If the person's sick, are they now like not their happy self again? Are they, a little bitter or sad or depressed or going through something? Can I tolerate this person during all of those things? Can I manage to handle their emotions and their struggles through all of this? Am I going to stick it out and be there for them and be supportive to them during these times? So you have to ask these questions ahead of time. And of course, like in the beginning stages of any relationship, everything is like rainbows and butterflies and unicorns and whatever you want to call it. It's all pretty and happy, and you're nervous, you're going through all these different, cool and fun things, and you're experiencing all these new things and you're excited. But then you have to get a little serious and you have to really think about, like, okay, how is this going to work? Or can I really get serious about this now? Can I get serious about this person? Can I really be with this person and really, say that, yeah, like, I'm gonna be here for them, and then actually do it, and actually, make that commitment, make that vow, make that promise to be like, yeah, sickness and in health until death do us apart. That's some scary stuff when you like listen and hear it and you really think about it and process it in your head. It's That's a huge commitment to say, yep, this is it. But when you are ready, when you find all of these things in this wonderful person that you've met or are going to meet, and you start looking forward to wanting to find these wonderful, characteristics in this person, it's just, it kind of makes you smile inside, right? And it kind of gives you like a little, kind of like a little, rainbow around you if you were to do like an Instagram photo or something, or a Snapchat thing filter. So it gives you that little, like, wow, like this is going to be great. This is a beautiful journey. This is a great journey that I'm going to be a part of. And I want to experience all of this because I want to be a part of all of this. But in order to do it, you have to be ready. You have to be committed. You have to be able to take it head on, because this is a challenge. And it's a challenge that you're going to want to take, full on, and you're going to want to, take part in it. Just like you would if you were, completing a project at work, or if you were given like, the company's $100 million, project to do. And if you do it, you're the big man or the big woman or the big boss or, whatnot. So are you ready? Are you able to take that on and move forward? So with that, you go back to the other three, characteristics, which is relatedness, connection, and personality, because all of those things will allow you to tolerate this person, will allow you to understand this person, accept this person, and help you to really value them for who they are and what they bring to your life and what you bring to their life. Um, because a relationship is not just, again, about one person, it's about everyone who's involved in that relationship. And for many, that's, their aunts and uncles, their grandparents, their mother, their father, their brothers, sisters, cousins, whoever. You really think about, are all these people going to be able to feel comfortable with and accept this person? And again, tolerate this person in the good times and the bad times, because you're not experiencing it alone, you're experiencing it together as a whole, community, as a whole family, and as like, not just one individual. So you're everyone's probably thinking like, wow, this is like a lot of stuff to think about when you're just like meeting someone for coffee. And it is and it isn't, because you're kind of doing this in the back of your head. um and if you had a good time meeting this person for coffee, then you got along with them and your personalities match. You had a lot of fun things to talk about, or you learned a lot about them and they learned a lot about you. Now you can relate to them. You built a connection with them. So what's next? Now you need to learn to tolerate them, and you'll tolerate them in the next phase of your relationship. And you'll make that connection with them as your relationship grows. And should your relationship not get that far, then you'll know one of the things that I mentioned above would not uh, would not be there. You would not be connecting to them at a different level. You won't be You won't be relating to them, or they can't be able to relate to you, or you won't really like their personality as much. So all of these things kind of like intertwine. They work together, because at the end of the day, they're really very similar to each other. So when, meeting a person for coffee or for dinner or for anything, that you do, really, start thinking about, wow, like, evaluate the, the your meeting afterwards. Go come home, sit down, and really give yourself 5-10 minutes to think about, you know, that was a good time. Her and I, or him and I, we really connected on different things. Like, we talked about our work, we talked about our friends, we talked about family, we talked about the weather, we talked about movies, we talked about things that we like to do. And, you know, the conversation was really good, or the conversation was really terrible. And we were literally looking around the room the entire time and looking for an excuse to leave. So if you can sit down and give yourself that opportunity to really slow down your thinking and think about what connected you with this person in the first place, and if you guys are getting along, if your personalities are matching, if you think eventually this person will be able to, relate to you and your family and your loved ones, then go from there. Keep continuing with that relationship, but really focus on, like, and evaluate the situation. Because we do that for a lot of other things, to be honest. Like, when we go to the movies, when we sit there and we're watching, we're really thinking, like, whether this movie was worth the $13 that we spent or not. Whether or not, the popcorn was good or hot or cold or whatever. If the seats are comfortable. We're constantly thinking about these things in the back of our head. We may not be saying them out loud, but we're really, every part of us is feeling these, emotions and these drivers. Like, we're really seeing, if you go to a really, I'm using the example of a movie theater because I love going to the movies. So when I go to the movies, I want to have an experience, right? I'm one of those customers. And I want to really go and enjoy myself. So if I'm paying $8 for popcorn that I could have popped at my house for less than $1, it better be hot, right? It better taste good. And, like, I'll give you guys a lot of food examples because I love food. So bear with me. But, when I'm sitting in the chair, is this chair comfortable? Is it a reclining seat, or is it just one of those regular seats? We always tend to, like, think about these things without really, actually saying them out loud. But I find myself talking about these things to my friends. After the movie, I'll tell them, like, whether or not I like the movie or not, whether it made sense to me or not. Was, the environment comfortable? Did I feel safe? Did I feel like I was sitting at home? And that's really what, the, promoters of these events are looking for. If you think about it from that perspective, maybe like 3 years ago or 2 years ago, when you went to a movie theater, they had those, like, crappy squeaky chairs that, like, didn't do anything, and you just sat there and watched the movie. You didn't complain because that's what was available at the time. Now when you go to a movie, you can really sit back, relax, and, like, have a reclining chair that's, like, leatherish and, like, comfortable. Put your feet up, really get comfortable watching that movie. So they're trying to relate to you as a consumer. They're trying to come at you as, like, what does an average consumer look for when they go out to watch a movie? What do they look for when they do it at home? So where I would spend $3 watching a movie at my house, I'm looking to now spend $13 because I get fresh popcorn, I get a reclining chair, I get a big screen, the surround sound, all of these things. So this is part of my marketing background, right? So it's going to come out. It's all about how you feel and what makes you comfortable. And finding a match is all about that as well. What makes you comfortable? What makes you feel like this is it? Like, this is my comfort zone right here. This is the person that I can really connect with, or, like, really enjoy myself with, and see myself feeling like, I'm relaxing, I'm chilling, I'm, like, not overthinking things, I'm not, over analyzing things, because those are all things that are really stressful, right? When we start overthinking and start analyzing people and analyzing our relationships and things like that, we would spend hours doing that, and it's very, very easy to do it, but you end up overworking yourself and you become stressed out, and then you no longer enjoy yourself anymore. So this is really to help you enjoy yourself. and in finding someone. So using these five, positive traits to find a match are really, what will help you. So now moving on to my fifth and final, trait, and this is my most favorite one. It's friendship, because that's really what it's all about. Your relationship to your partner is all about the friendship that you hold with them, that you created with them, that you share with them. Um, you know, it's a simple question. Can we be friends? Because friends are people who we share a lot with. Um, why do they say best friend over a regular friend? Your best friend is someone who you shared all of your deepest, darkest secrets with, all, everything that you're into, everything that, you might be insecure about or scared about or nervous about sharing. You share it with someone who you really trust and care about. So that's where the friendship part comes in. Can I share my life with this person? Can I, bring out everything that is near and dear to me, and I say, here you go. It's for you, it's for us. That's really what friendship is all about. When I look for a friend, I look for someone I can trust, someone, I can share my thoughts and feelings with, someone I can really focus, enjoy my life with, travel with, hang out with. And that there's no like stress involved. There's no like I have to worry about, every little thing that they're feeling or might feel or become sensitive to. But we know each other well enough that we accept one another for who we are. So if my friend is sensitive or is extra, emotional, I accept him or her for that. And I want to be there for them for that. I want to support them through that because I get them. And that is your spouse. Because your spouse is the one person that you're going to spend so much of your time with. And, you're going to come home and you are going to want to de-stress. So who do you call? Not the Ghostbuster, guys. You talk to your friend, you talk to your spouse, right? So you tell them about your day. You sit down, you grab a cup of tea, or in my case, like juice, because I don't drink tea. And, you talk about your day. You talk about what you went through. We all have stressful lives. We all work with people. We are all constantly on the go. We have lots of things that we need to do and get done. So when you come home to unwind and just relax and let go. And your best friend's at home, your spouse. So you sit down and you talk to him or her about what you went through today, how your day was, if it was a good day, what was good about it. It could be from the smallest thing to the biggest thing. Like, what did you have for lunch today? Sometimes there are days when there's absolutely nothing to talk about because nothing happened all day. You were sitting in an office, typing away and writing reports and things like that. Nothing happened. And then, in my case, there's always something fun happening at work. I'm always on the go. There's always, some adventure I had to take because of one of my clients. And, I can't always come and disclose all of that information, but I can say it was a really adventurous day today. I had to drive all the way to Massachusetts, only to find out that the person I was there for wasn't there anymore. So I had to drive there and here, and this is what I saw, and this is what I did. So little things that make a huge difference when talking to your spouse or your partner. And it's because you've built that trust with them, that connection with them. You relate to them. They relate to you. You get along together. So your personalities match. You understand one another. So, that's why friendship is so important, because when we look for a friend, we look for all of these things. Like, how do I relate to this person? Like, what is it about them that connects me to them? Why do I, what is it about my friend that I really enjoy or really love? Or, is it our experiences that we share together? Is it the fact that we laugh about the silliest things that make no sense whatsoever? And people look at us like we're weird or we're, out there, but we really enjoy them because we enjoy their company. Is it because I can sit with my friend and play a game that I would normally play with a small child and still enjoy myself doing that, with that person? Building a, creating a puzzle together, or solving a puzzle together, or, going for a hike or walk, or, just knowing that I can understand this person and they understand me makes the biggest difference. Um, so it's really friendship allows you to have a really good balance of like trust and attraction and so many other things that pull you towards that person. And when you look at them every day in and day out, you're still like, yeah, I married my best friend, or I found my best friend, or this is the person I'm going to hang out with. Because marriage is really a really big hangout with a lot of responsibilities. You know, um, you marry someone, or you know, build a relationship with someone because you want them to be a part of your life. You want them to be a part of you. So that's where the friendship piece comes in. You feel like it's a no judgment zone. Your friends don't judge you. Your friends accept you for who you are. Your friends accept you for, wearing all black all the time, or wearing all purple or neon colors all the time, or your friends accept you for, you know, the the fact that you like ketchup with pizza or something. They accept you for those little things, and that's really what a match or a partner is there to do as well. They're there to accept you for you. And I think acceptance is a huge part of us as individuals, because we there's always a part of us that wants to be accepted by others, and we strive for that. We worked at that like from the beginning. It's even if you're like, oh no, I don't care what people think about me, or I don't care if people accept me or not. A part of you is saying that because you want to be accepted. A part of you is saying that because, you know, this is you, and the whole term born this way, or this, this is who I am, and you want to show it to the world, and you want your friends and your family and loved ones to really accept you and take you in for that, and just be there for you. I think with friendship also comes respect. You learn a lot from your friends, and you learn a lot from their experiences and what they're going through or have been through, and you learn to respect one another on a completely different level, just like you would learn to respect your future match or your future spouse or partner, whatever you want to call it. I think respect plays a huge role in that, because your friends respect you regardless of the fact if you're happy or angry or sad or mad. um, they respect all those parts and pieces of you, and they accept all those pieces and parts of you. And with that, it gives you a very, I guess, like almost like a security blanket. It provides you with that comfort, knowing that you have someone there who really is your person. Um, I don't know if anyone is into Grey's Anatomy here, but I'm a huge Grey's Anatomy junkie, and you know, the two main characters in the beginning seasons, they were, they were their persons, each other's persons. They connected with each other on different levels. And this is about Meredith and Yang, not like Meredith and Derek. So again, if you're not into Grey's Anatomy, totally get it, and it's probably just flying over your head, and I apologize. But having that person to go to at the end of the day and just letting it all out and letting it loose, and just feeling comfortable in your skin with that person, that's what a friendship is about. It's not about, it doesn't have to be a an intimate relationship, or it doesn't have to be a relationship where two people are connected on like a physical level or anything like that. It's just about connecting with someone based on who they are and what they mean to you and what they do for you and what you do for them. um that's it.
And with that, Maliha, I'm sorry to cut you short, but I'm noticing some amazing questions that we have. So I would really love if you could just take the rest of the time that we have to kind of look through and answer some questions. Sorry to cut you off, but I think you beautifully explained those 5 points. So love to hear what the
I
audience
did it. Okay, so let's
is
see.
saying as far as
So
questions.
Khadija is asking, what is step
Can you pull
one
that
in
up on your
finding
end,
out
or
if
would you like for
someone
me to
is
read?
compatible to you? So I think Compatibility is a part of, all of the things that I mentioned. This is what compromises, and this is what brings out someone's compatibility to you. So I think step one would be the connection or the personality of that person. Like, do you enjoy being with that person? Is this someone that you can sit down and talk to and really have fun with, or just enjoy their presence? So, compatibility falls on many different levels, but I think the first thing is like enjoying their company, really spending time with them and seeing if, you really like being around them. And if you feel like, yeah, I can, step one checked off, I can, I like being around this person. We like having fun together, or we like having this experience together or experiences together. Great. Then you go on to the next, step, and the next step, and the next step. And a lot of these, things are just feelings, or they're innate feelings that you just kind of like feel inside, that you're like, yeah, this is really working well, or yeah, I really feel compatible with this person, and going from there. So I think step one is just, do you enjoy their company? Do you like being around them? I hope that answers your question. So moving on to the next one, Gayanath is asking, how are we able to know whether we can tolerate them later if we don't necessarily see what they may act like in the future? So this is, this is why you don't jump into a relationship very quickly. This is why you take your time and you get to know them. Because chances are at some point you'll experience something with them that will give you the answer to that. Don't just jump into a relationship, or, meet someone today and marry them tomorrow, because really you need to spend that time getting to know who they are as an individual. And from there, you'll see if, they might act a different way, or if you can tolerate them later on. Because chances are, before, like, if you give yourself at least 6 months in the process of getting married, or, tying the knot to someone, you'll experience something with them that will allow you to like understand whether or not you can tolerate them later on in life or not. And as you learn about them, you learn if, they're someone who you can be with, if they understand how you are as an individual and how they are when, a problem arises or a situation arises, how do they handle themselves? And that's when you know if you can tolerate them or not. Okay, so moving on to the next question. Mariam is asking, what signs should one look for if there is no follow through after two people meet, even though there seem to be chemistry and compatibility? So follow through on whose part? Are you saying like follow through on the a person's part? Are you saying that, if the person's not calling you, why don't you call them? To see if they're interested, or if they'd like to meet you again, or if they'd like to go out again. And I know this is like very like tabooish, like, oh, girls don't make the first move, or whatever the case may be. That's like ancient. Don't think about it from that perspective. Take that, take on that responsibility, take on that action, way, and just go ahead and make that call. See if, they want to hang out again, if they want to get together again. If they don't, then, or if they're kind of like, throwing you off, saying like, I don't know if I'm free or available, or, all of this stuff, and they're kind of like lingering and they're just like making excuses, then even though you may have felt chemistry, they may not have. So take that from that perspective and like just move on, because you also don't want to waste too much of your time on the same person. Sometimes chemistry is only felt one way. It only seems to be there from one person. So really don't wait for them to make the move. If you feel like, if you're interested, if you're, feeling like this is what it is that you want, then go ahead, just go for it. Because let me tell you, from experience and just from, kind of observing and learning, if someone's into you, they'll make mountains move to be with you. They'll make an effort. I always hear the excuse like, oh, this person lives in a different state or a different country, or, this person, is really far away from me and I have no way to get in touch with them. we live in a world where there's planes, internet, and, many forms of communication, phone, text, pay phones. You're not just, people back in the day would just write letters and send those out. We can still do that. We have that. So if people are really interested and are really willing, are really dedicated, or really want to see this going somewhere, they will make an effort to make it happen. And if you're seeing that the person is not really putting in an effort, then they may not be interested, or they may not be in the right place right now to have this sort of a relationship with you. So in that case, see you later. Like, move on, move forward, keep looking for bigger, better, and going from there. Because you don't want to spend too much of your time dwelling on the same person, because they may not be ready to be in that sort of a relationship with you. All right. Moving on. There's a question from Matola saying, which sign is the most important predictor of a successful relationship? Ooh, that's a good one. So I think friendship, to me at least, friendship is really, really important. I feel like, if I was to, put them in different tiers, I would put friendship in first. Like, how can you connect to this person? How well can you connect to this person? Is this really someone that, you really enjoy being around and spending time with? I think relatedness also falls under that, second tier. What's really, can this person relate to me and who I am and what I believe in and where I'm from and my parents, my family, the things that are important to me, the people who are important to me. Um, so that is a huge sign for, and every individual is different, right? So for me, if it's relatedness and friendship, for others, it might be chemistry and tolerance, or it might be, chemistry and personality, because they tend to go hand in hand. So it's really just a matter of what the person is like, what they relate to or connect with the most, like which sign, and what they feel is the most important thing for them. So it's different for everyone. Moving down to Saud. I saw this asking, what do you think about time frame? Is there any healthy or suggested time frame while getting to know someone? How much time should we spend together before deciding if she is the one? That's a great question. So time, again, it's different. It's individualized, right? So what works for you may not work for me. What works for me may not work for the next person. So you really have to think about, what are you most comfortable with, and what is the person that you're with most comfortable with. I've known people who've literally known each other for 3 weeks and have gotten married and are still married after many years. I also know people who've taken their sweet time, a year, 2 years, 3 years, and then gotten married, and things are going well for them as well. So it really depends on where you are in life and where you are, what you are most comfortable with. Um, for me, I think the best is 6 months. Why? Because it's just enough time to get to know a person and get to know who they are, and really plan a, life with them, in the sense that you've talked about the most important things to you. Um, and it could also be like a year and a half. Like, I'll give you some personal information. Like, between my husband and I, it took us about a year and a half. We spent 6 months planning and a year getting to know one another. And when we were getting to know one another, it was really through friends. I got to know his friends. He got to know my friends. We got to know each other's family really well, before we decided to like move further, because there were certain things that were really important to us that kind of we needed to almost like check off in our minds, that like, how are we a good fit for one another? And, those 6 months weren't like, that year wasn't spent like spending all of our time together. No, that year was really like what I call the investigation piece. It was really us getting to know our backgrounds and how we fit into each other's lives. So you can spend a year and a half, or you can just spend 6 months doing it. Again, depends on where you're at and how comfortable you are and how well you think you already know the person. Because you can know someone. I actually know a friend who he he knew his current spouse from childhood. They grew up together, they played together. And he was, she was the friend of his sisters. And as children, they grew up together and they played together. And as they grew up, they kind of went their own ways. They had gotten married, had children, had, full lives. And then, circumstances came up and happened, and, they lost their partners. And then they, out of the blue, met one another at a wedding, both in their, I would not like old age, because they're like quite young. They're in their early 50s. Yes, 50s is young these days. And, they got to know one another, and they kind of found out where they were in life, and they decided to get married. Alhamdulillah, it like literally took them, I think, like a month to get everything put together, and they, decided to get married again. But it was really because they already knew each other growing up. They knew each other's families. They knew each other's backgrounds and kind of understood each other. So they, decided that, they were meant to be and that they were going to be together. So it really just depends on the person. It really just depends on where you are and what it is that you're looking for. So moving on to the next question, Faz is asking, what is an ideal way of knowing each other, especially in an arranged marriage setup? Okay. So, funny thing. Growing up, I was totally against arranged marriages. I was like, how do you do that? Like, that's so weird. But research actually shows that arranged marriages are, so far more successful than love marriages are. And, the ideal way of knowing one another in an arranged marriage setup is really, the same way as if you are getting to know a new person. You have coffee, you have tea, you spend time, one-on-one time together, and if you can't because of cultural or religious reasons, you can have the girl can have like her mehram there and like be present in the background, but really just get to know them, call them, pick up the phone, email them, write them a letter, send them a card. Just get to know who they are as a person, what they're all about. Ask them the same questions you would ask someone if you were just getting to know them, in a love marriage or in a, different setup. How would you get to know this person? What questions would you ask? You can ask those same questions just by, doing it, maybe having a third party involved or, middleman, so to speak, which again is not a bad idea. Sometimes that's really helpful. All right. Wow, there's like a lot of questions, guys. I'm really excited. Okay, so Saud is asking again, how do we understand if she is really shy and we need to spend more time for her to open up, or we just not connected and we might not be a good match? How do we distinguish that? Okay. So a shy person, at least in my understanding, is someone who's very quiet, likes to keep to themselves, is very reserved, doesn't open up, tends to kind of hold back a lot. And, if you really want to get to know them and really want to, see if there's anything there, sometimes you have to be really clear in your communication in what you're asking. You want to be able to say, so, we've met like 3 times already and it's been great. Our conversations are pretty, fun and interesting. But I feel like you're a little reserved or a little quiet. Is that because you're nervous? Is that because is that just your personality? Asking those questions straightforward sometimes makes a huge difference, because it almost, even though it puts a person on the spot, it also brings the person some comfort in like them knowing that like, wow, this person actually noticed that I'm this way, or this person is actually paying attention to, my mannerisms, and like, and then it allows them the opportunity to talk about those things. Again, these conversations are done best when they're in person, because then that person can also read your body language and can really see, what it is that you're looking for and you're asking. rather than you accusing them of being shy or being quiet or, not being interesting, because it could also be mistaken for that. But it's really all about how you put that question out there for them. And, you always want to let them know that, I really enjoy, being around you or being with you or having these conversations with you. But I also feel that, and then you move on from there. So it's a lot of I statements. It's a lot of, you taking ownership and responsibility for your feelings and your thoughts. And then, putting them out there on that person to be like, wow, like, this is how I feel and this is what I'm thinking. What do you think? What's your perspective? So I always feel like a relationship is like a ping pong like game. So you throw the ball, you hit the ball and the ball comes back and the other person has to hit it. So that's really what communication is like too. It's like a ping pong game. And when you're looking for clarification or a better understanding of the situation, it's always best to ask in the right way. And in a tone that's comforting, in a tone that, allows the other person to feel like they're not being targeted or, they're not being, that you're not being forceful, that you're really just inquiring and you really want to know what it is that they're looking for. I hope that helps. All right, so we have 2 more questions. This is, if the initial contact is by chat, text message, what is a reasonable expectation of the time that it should take to move to the next step, such as phone call, video chat, or meeting in person? All right, so if anyone's ever had me as a coach here at BeyondChai, they will know that the first thing I always say is, please don't text. Please don't text. Texting is very weird and it's very impersonal. Like, you can't build a relationship over texting. You always want to, talk to that person, to call that person. As awkward and as weird as uncomfortable as it is, you always want to just pick up the phone and call, even if it's for you to set up a time to meet. Reason being is because talking and hearing someone's voice, it's a lot more comforting, and it gives you like almost like a little sense of like, okay, now I know this person. Texting is more like, I could be texting anybody, and anybody could be reading this text. So if you're kind of like, if you want to get to really figure out what it is that, if you want to set something up, you always want to call. If you're looking for a timeline, in the age of technology that we live in, like, if my phone, like, while I'm sitting here, it's been going off the hook, like I'm seeing text messages come in, I'm seeing all of that. My plan is to text these people back eventually by the end of the day, and most people will get to their phone by the end of the day if they're really interested in you. If, we all work. I've worked with doctors and surgeons, and I've worked with care providers and, emergency personnel. And, they're always like, when I'm in the line of fire and things are going off, I can't pick up my phone and tell my girl that I'm going to be home late or whatever. And then she gets mad when I come home late. I was like, yeah, but at the same time, after you finish what you were dealing with or handling or the crisis that you were in, you had 5 minutes when you sat in the car to start your car and say, hey, babe, I'm going to be home late, or I'm on my way home. So just think about it from that perspective, that there is always time to do it. It's just a matter of how committed you are to the cause and how committed you are to the person.
Thank you, Maliha. I really appreciate you spending this hour with us to really explain so beautifully what to look for in a match. And I want to thank all the participants who were present and asking amazing questions. I know that there's 1 or 2 questions that have not been answered, and we will get the answer from Maliha and then email you back. And also, I just want to tell the participants, you mentioned your clients as a BeyondChai coach, and I want to let you guys know that Maliha, in her capacity as a BeyondChai coach, works one-on-one with clients, provides invaluable feedback, coaches people through different situations. So I would really encourage for you all to really take advantage of the services that BeyondChai offers. You can go to our website and you can click on the relationship coaching tab and schedule a time with Maliha and another relationship coach that we have. Her name is Rebecca. And inshallah, next month, she's going to be presenting a webinar so you can get acquainted with her as well. Again, I want to be respectful of everyone's time. I know it's a Saturday, so we did go over time, but these are such amazing questions that I was really curious, and I just want to thank you all. I hope to see you guys next month for our next webinar. We'll be sending out an email, inshallah. Thank you, Maliha. Hey, assalamu alaikum, everyone.